Good evening, Azeroth, and welcome to episode 166 of the World of Goldcraft. As usual, I'm your host, the Lazy Goldmaker of thelazygoldmaker.com. Welcome back to the show. If you're following along live, make sure you post any questions you might have in the chat, and I'll answer some of them at the end. If I get any, there's a lot of people here today, so hopefully I get some. Of course, the podcast is made available by my patrons, so if you're interested in joining us, you can do so at patreon.com/thelazygoldmaker. You can get rewards like 7 days of early access to all of the stuff I write on thelazygoldmaker.com or my full TSM setup. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, obviously 9.2. Because as I started writing the script for this week's episode earlier today, we didn't have a release date. But now we do. When I was halfway done with the script, we got the release date. 9.2 is pretty much in its final state. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my thoughts on 9.2 as a patch, and of course the gold making, which I already covered a little bit in the past. So let's dive in. Now, overall, to me, in terms of systems and how 9.2 works as a patch, it seems to be just like a slightly more polished version of 9.1. In the final iteration, Sereth Mortis is very similar to Korthia. It's a little bit less annoying since you don't have to do as much grinding to get the useful stuff if you care about PvE, and you also don't have to do as much grinding to get the recipes. With the recipes being available from Honored with the new reputation. So you don't have anything akin to tier 4 Archivist Codex for Crafter's Marks in 9.1. Then tier sets are pretty much like the cooler version of shards, let's be honest, and they also only cover 4 out of 5 slots, so they give a slightly different set allocation, but they're pretty cool. And obviously from a class gameplay perspective, I always like tier sets. Of course, they can introduce big balance issues and imbalance between classes, but that's always the case anyway. So that's pretty cool. But then again, there's Sereth Mortis. This is very similar to Korthia. It looks prettier at least, which is nice, because Korthia was very drab and very boring to play. So hopefully Sereth Mortis is a little bit more enjoyable. It does seem like they've added a lot more systems that are interesting from a cosmetic farming completionist point of view, with stuff like the cipher and the crafting system for like getting mounts and stuff that I haven't read up on at all in detail. Just like a very cursory overview of what that even is. So 9.2 is looking pretty good, but it's still plagued with some of the issues that people have, or a lot of the issues that people have had with the Shadowlands overall. Probably going to be the best patch. Obviously, double legendaries is going to be a draw, even if it's a little... it's sad that we just get the Covenant legendaries. I was obviously hoping to get 2 different class-specific legendaries. That would have been more fun, but it is what it is. Yeah, we're going to see a good amount of people coming back, but I don't think this is like the saving WoW patch at all. Obviously, we have some very exciting stuff at 9.2.5, with Blizzard once again bringing in some really good stuff in the 0.5 patches in Shadowlands. But definitely the 10.0 announcement is sort of looming in the distance as what a lot of people are hoping for to revitalize WoW, because it has been on a little bit of a downturn lately. Now, from a gold making perspective, I already talked a lot about why I think 9.2 will be incredibly profitable. For anyone looking to utilize crafting professions, I think this is just going to be fantastic. Legendaries probably in their best state ever from a gold making perspective, not from a I have to buy legendaries for my character perspective. They're looking absolutely incredible for gold making, just absolutely bonkers good. Crafter's Mark gear obviously also looking really good. Nothing special about that this time around though. It's just looking pretty similar to 9.1, where Crafter's Mark of the Chain Dial Filled an incredibly useful early gearing niche, and that's the same thing for the crafter's mark of the first ones. So getting those as soon as possible, you can probably sell those pieces for 35, 50,000, potentially even more depending on how expensive the progenitor Essentia get. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of gold for those items early on. And yeah, the release date, it's coming out in, well, 2 weeks or 1.5 weeks, depending on how you count. Today is I'm recording this on the 10th of February. It's coming out on the 12th in NA and the 13th of February in EU. So it's close. Blizzard likes doing these like just less than 2 weeks notices for the next patch, which I find a little bit baffling. I feel like they would have been better off with slightly more time. To me, that feels like something that would be good. Maybe even drawing back people a little bit early. Like if you give 1 month notice, there might even be some financial incentive to that. Having people resub 1 month before the patch because they get pulled in by the announcement and they decide, I gotta check out my character and start to get ready and stuff. Yeah, we're on the final approach now. Materials are not going to trend much further down. This is as cheap as they get. They might have started increasing again as people start buying. That has happened in the past. So if you haven't already stocked up, you might want to stock up. I don't have the pricing data in my head right now. But look to 9.1 and how prices behaved on your realm to make a decision if you want to buy some more materials right now. Can make a very strong argument in favor of doing so, of course. Yeah, players are going to start trickling back in. We may see players start to prepare their new rank 6 legendaries now. We might see players fairly shortly start buying rank 6 legendaries for the new slot that they're going to prioritize. This might also not happen. I'm a little bit uncertain how much we'll see people do this. It's obviously going to be a little bit expensive. Like, is it worth it to them or is it not? I have no idea. I haven't invested heavily in Coithite crystals. I haven't invested in it at all. I know a lot of people who have. There's certainly a possibility that we see rank 6 legendaries pump up to 100k again. But we might also see them just chill out at a much lower level. Both are realistic potential opportunities. So we'll see. We'll see. If you're correct, then you're probably going to be making out like a bandit. If you haven't done anything like I haven't, then you're not really going to be bothered either way. So 9.2, we know what the important gold making recipes are. I've already covered them. It's pretty much the new rank 7 legendaries and the 2 new crafters marks. That's the new stuff that is even slightly relevant to care about. Currently you got all of these recipes from the enlightened reputation at the honored reputation level, which is fantastic. You don't have to grind more than honored. According to the most recent Wowhead article, it's going to take you about 10 days to get to honored. About 10 days. Now, obviously, I'm not quite sure how many rares they calculated you to kill per day to reach that, if that's like absolutely maximizing. Who knows? And Wura just posted in chat that they just had a new blue post on how they're going to tweak the reputation. So obviously that's not quite finalized. So we'll have to see a little bit. But either way, you just have to get to honored, which isn't that bad. There's nothing like the Archivist Codex Tier 4. So it will be done a little bit faster. But obviously if you're going to have multiple crafters, then it's going to be quite annoying. But if you're just looking for legendaries, there is a little bit of a silver lining here. And that's that the legendary recipe also requires you to have finished chapter 5 of the new story, which only unlocks after on the 3rd reset, which means that you have about 15 days to 14 days to actually get to honored. Like, you need to get to honored within 14 days to be ready day 1 with the new rank 7 legendaries, and that's something you definitely want to do. So you can skip a couple of days and still make it on your legendary crafters. If you're planning to do the crafters mark though, you do want to be ready day one if you can. So you do want to push and get there as absolutely fast as possible if you can. So there's that, because that is just very, very, very valuable. So either way, that's something that we'll have to see, or you'll have to decide for yourself how hard you want to push. No one can really tell you what the right choice is there. But yeah, it's going to be very, very, very important to unlock the recipes early. The faster you can get them, like the prices on the Crafter's Mark of the first or the chain dial at the absolute beginning of 9.1 was like 35k. It very quickly trended downwards, but it was incredible on the first day or two, and then it went downward fairly rapidly, but it was still like sale rate was still through the roof. But if you can get there and be ready when the prices are like 35, 50k, then that's looking very, very good. So my plans for 9.2 are pretty simple. Blast my crafters through the story and the rep grind as fast as possible, and that's a lot of crafters. On my main realm on Draenor, I have two legendary crafters that I want to farm rep with. On Sylvanas, I have 2 legendary crafters that I want to farm rep with, and I have my raiding main that I want to farm rep with. And I have my NA 0 to Hero series where I'm gonna have to farm rep again. So what's the upshot of that? It's like 6 different characters. At least my 2 legendary crafters on Draenor are on different accounts, because I do have 2 accounts, which means that I can be following, be on follow on the second monitor and just tab back and forth to loot mobs and finish quests as needed. That's gonna at least help a little bit, but I'm gonna be sick of Sereth Mortis. I'm gonna be doing an absolute boatload of Sereth Mortis at the end of February. So yeah. We'll see if I try to just like go for the bare minimum, but I'm gonna probably try to just get it done as fast as possible on all of them, and just be done with it and not have to bother with that stupid the stupid rep grinds anymore. Yeah, since I really, really want to finish my road to 100 million gold within 9.2, it's pretty essential to crank through as fast as possible. So I will just be putting in a lot of work, essentially. Hopefully it pays off. Now, another thing, the first couple of weeks, my plan is to buy a lot of the new materials, particularly Progenitor Essentia, heavily during the first and second week, and you want to buy that up before day 10. Because day 10, that's the first time people can unlock the Crafter's Mark of the first one's recipe, which uses Progenitor Essentia. That's the first day where Progenitor Essentia demand from like actual end goods kick in. So between day 3 and day 10, that's where you probably want to buy up a lot of Progenitor Essentia. And obviously you're probably just going to need to keep buying even after demand has picked up. Probably you'll be able to craft profitably with it. To a very large degree, but yeah, you're gonna need a lot of it. I'm not sure exactly how high the drop rate is, like how fast people generate this. If you're someone who has a lot of alts, then definitely just doing Sereth Mortis stuff to get more Progenitor Essentia is gonna be quite valuable. So that's definitely something I would strongly consider checking out. As well. You will want to utilize these as much as possible. We'll definitely see another spike for Progenitor Essentia when people can finally craft rank 7 legendaries, which is gonna be day 14 of the patch being out. That'll be when people can craft legendaries, and we'll see another big spike in the Progenitor Essentia demand. At least we might not see it in the price, but we're gonna see something incredible. So yeah, like we're gonna need so much Essentia, I think, just due to how much I expect Crafter's Mark to be valuable and the legendaries. So I'll be looking to buy several hundred, maybe even in the thousands Progenitor Essentia during the first week if I can. So that's going to be exciting. No idea how expensive they're going to be. I think they're going to be pretty expensive. Might be looking at prices in the 20, 30, 40, 50k. So we'll see. It's going to be exciting for sure. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what I wanted to talk about. So we're going to run some questions from chat now, and I see we have one from a default name. Any idea if rings next will be popular like in 9.1? I only have those plus chest helmet for tailoring and blacksmithing. Rings and necklaces are going to be a lot less sought after this patch than they were before. I don't have I was going to see if we find the read-on analysis. They're not going to be useless. But they are going to be a lot less valuable, or a lot less useful than they were in 9.1. Simply due to the fact that tier sets function a little bit differently. You only need 4 of the 5 pieces, which means that you generally want to have one of the big slots, of course, and then you can craft the Unity legendary on literally any slot. So unless your class or spec very heavily favors secondary stats, in most cases you will want to have your legendaries on slots with a lot of main stat as well. So I think there are some specs or some where using a neck or a ring is the best option, but for the most part I think it's not. I had the spreadsheet open on my monitor earlier. This has been posted about on WoW Economy, someone who's done the analysis. I'll make sure I'll link that spreadsheet in the description as well, so you can find that and take a look at it. But overall, rings and necklaces are going to be worse. But the chest and helmet for tailoring and blacksmithing, both of those are really good recipes for 9.2. So you're in the right direction there at least. Well, there we finally found it. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this episode. Thanks for watching or listening. Really appreciate it. If you enjoyed and you're watching this on YouTube, leave a like or a comment down below to make sure that YouTube will keep suggesting gold making content to you. With that, I wish you all a very profitable week, and we'll see you on the next episode. Goodbye.